Hello everyone and welcome to Guwahati MuleSoft Meetup. The topic for our today's session is Universal API Management, Flex Gateway and API Governance. And the speaker for our today's meetup is Jitendra Bafna, and we all are all aware of with him. Before starting the meetup, let's have some safe harbor statement. So both the speaker and host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity. Only we are not representing our companies here. The presentation is strictly for learning purpose only. Organizer presenter do not hold any responsibility that same solution will work for your business requirement. And this presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Some housekeeping. So recording of this session will be uploaded in the meetup page within 24 hours. You can go and you can find it in the meetup page. I will also share it in the LinkedIn. Uh, Feel free to ask your question. You can unmute, you can ask that, or you can put it over chat. Just feel free. And the most important is the feedback. So we highly encourage you to give the feedback because that is very important for the group as well as the organizer and speaker, because that help us to improve and also guide us like what next topic we can have in our meetup. Okay, so now starting with my own introduction. So I'm the organizer of the Guwahati group. So I'm a MuleSoft ambassador, working as a associate solution architect at Episodo, overall of 7+ years of experience and 5 years in MuleSoft. Certified developer, architect, industrial champion, GTM champion, leading Guwahati and Lucknow group. I'm frequent meetup speaker, write blogs and make technical videos. Now coming to our speaker, we all know. So, Jackie Bhai, over to you.
Yeah, thanks Abhishek for like lot of wishes from you and everyone. Thank you so much. So like I will just share my screen and start with the presentation part.
Yes, sure. And meanwhile, I would like to thank you to take this even on your birthday.
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So let me just start with my introduction. So my name is Jitendra Bhavna and I'm working as a senior solution architect at the EPM system. I am a MuleSoft ambassador and I am go-to-market champion, industry champion, delivery champion, having around 14 years of experience in integration and APIs. I am a meetup speaker and meetup leader for the four group, Surat, Nasik, Mumbai, and the engineering student group. So currently I'm handling the four meetup group within the India basically. Yeah. So that's a just short introduction about me, and I will go with agenda. So like we will going to discuss about a flex gateway basically. Mostly we will be focusing on a flex gateway. So before that, like we will just have an introduction. Then like we will discuss about universal API management, why we require universal API management capability, and what are the things provided by MuleSoft as a part of universal API management. Then we will discuss about flex gateway. So we will try to set up a flex gateway, like as a docker container in connected mode and local mode. If time permits, we will try to set up a flex gateway as a Kubernetes ingress controller, and we will discuss about API governance. And then finally, there will be definitely a demonstration. There will be end-to-end demonstration how to set up the Flex gateway and how to publish a multiple APIs to the Flex gateway. Then, like Abhishek will definitely take a trivia quiz. Okay. So, the like, let me start with one question. Like, does anybody aware what is universal API management and why we required a universal API management, and what is the purpose behind the universal API management? Does anybody like just want to share your thoughts or something like that? And so you can definitely do that. Anybody want to share anything? Other, I will definitely share. Okay, I think nobody. So okay. So as you are aware, recently in at the end of 2021, so there was some term coined that is known as universal API management. So MuleSoft has coined the term, universal API management. So what is a universal API management? Why we require universal API management? I will just set up some context. So like if you take some enterprise, in that particular enterprise, you can have a APIs which can be written in the multiple technology. So you might be using the multiple technology, multiple architecture, and each API might be having the different transactions load, right? And like you want to manage those API, you want to secure, you want to govern, you want to discover, and you want to engage those API. So for that, what you will going to do if you don't have a something called universal API management, you will be required a separate API management capability for each and every API is written in other technology. So let's consider if I have a MuleSoft. So for managing the MuleSoft API, I may require a separate API gateway. So that can be a Mule gateway. I have a Spring Boot API, so I can make use of Joule API gateway, right? So Spring Boot generally provide a Joule API gateway. Maybe like I have some XYZ technology, so for that I may require XYZ API gateway, right? So at the end, what is happening, like so you need to manage your API from different API gateways. So you will be having a separate monitoring. You will be having like you if like you will require a different skills for managing those API gate, right? For managing those API gateway, right? And like apart from that, it will definitely increase your maintenance and operation cost. Then it from license perspective, you have to manage your multiple vendors basically, correct? So and apart from that, at the end, what will happen after a few years, it will lead to the technical debt, right? So maybe you start with some other project where you have to do the consolidation of all the API gateway. So in that case, like you may have to, like after 3 or 4 years, so you may have to consolidate all the API gateway, and that require a separate project. So it can be the additional cost, right? So to overcome all these limitations, so there was some concept called universal API management. With universal API management, you can manage, secure, govern, and engage your API from the single pane of glass. So basically, like so you can apply a flex gateway or like API governance on the top of your API, and then you can easily manage, govern, secure, engage, or discover API from the single pane of glass. That is nothing, that is any point platform. So from any point platform, you can see like monitoring, analytics. You can just create the API instance, and you can just also apply API alerts, and you can also see the logs of your API. So it's from the single platform, and even you don't require the multiple skills. The person with a single skills, with like with the any point platform skill, he can easily manage that, right? So in future, if you are introduce any new technology, right, for API development, you can just use that particular API management capability which is provided by MuleSoft. You don't have to replace that. Also, you don't have to buy the new API management capability, right? So that is the advantage we are getting with the universal API management. So with universal API management, you can manage MuleSoft as well as non-MuleSoft APIs, and it doesn't matter where your API located in the universe. So the your API can be located anywhere in the universe basically. So but you have to just ensure that the API must be accessible from the place where you are setting up your this universal API management capability. So your API can be located in on-premise, your API can be located in cloud, your API can be located anywhere in private cloud, public cloud, Docker container, Elastic Kubernetes service, like on-premise Kubernetes instance, maybe on virtual machine, maybe on bare metal server, doesn't matter. So right, so you can definitely implement this universal API management capability for any of the API. Other thing, it doesn't matter what kind of architecture your API is following. It can be a monolithic architecture, it can be microservices architecture, it can follow the API led connectivity architectural style. Doesn't matter, you can apply the like API, universal API management capability to any APIs basically. And the one other important thing, like you can easily govern and secure your API from the single platform. So right, as simple as that, like you can apply like, and it also it can adapt any architecture which I have already discussed. Any question on this, like what is universal API management, or like do you have any question, or otherwise I will move to the next slide.
I don't see any questions, Ziki.
Okay. So as a part of universal API management, MuleSoft has improved and launched a various products basically, or various component as a part of any point platform. So one of the component is the Flex Gateway, and the other is API governance. So Flex Gateway is basically it's a gateway that you can enable on the top of any APIs, and you can apply or any policies, or simply you can secure, manage, discover, and engage your API governance. So basically, API governance is nothing like basically you are ensuring that your API is consistent and compliance across the organization. So if you see like MuleSoft has provided some rule sets. So via that rule set, you can validate your API specs, which is written in RAML, Open API specification, or async API. You can easily, you can easily validate your API whether it has been designed with any point platform best practices or Open API specification best practices. Like they provide some certain out of the box rules, so you can make use of those rules to ensure that your API has been designed with great consistency and the compliant. Then API community manager. So MuleSoft will soon release the API experience hub. API experience hub is nothing. It's a like it's kind of where you can publish your API basically. It's kind of API catalog, or you can call this as a API marketplace basically. Then endpoint data graph, API designer, API cataloging, and API manager. So MuleSoft has like API manager already exists, but you can see there are few improvements and like has been done recently. Now come to Flex Gateway. So Flex Gateway is one of the part of your universal API management. So it's a one of the super fast gateway basically. So we call this as a super fast gateway or ultra fast gateway. Why? Because it is using the envoy based service. So envoy based service is nothing. It's a CNCF project, and till now the envoy is the high performance, low latency, and very fast service basically. So it's a very fast service, like so it take millisecond to transfer your request and get to the upstream or downstream API, right? So basically MuleSoft is using or this Flex Gateway is using the envoy based service basically. So envoy is nothing, it's a super fast, high performance, and low latency service. So what are the advantages we are getting from the Flex Gateway? You can secure and manage the APIs located anywhere basically. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter where is your API located in this particular universe, right? It can be located anywhere in the universe. So you can simply manage your API from the Flex Gateway. You may have a multiple data center, like you have one data center in the like within your on premise. You can have a one data center in the private cloud. You can have a one data center in the public cloud, and you can use you can set up the single Flex Gateway in one of the data center. From that particular data center you can connect any of your APIs, and you can definitely manage your API basically from single Flex Gateway. Or even you can set up a multiple Flex Gateway. You can extend the anypoint platform capabilities, so you have some out of box anypoint capabilities, right? So like anypoint monitoring, API analytics, API telemetry, API policy. You can simply apply that to the non MuleSoft as well as the MuleSoft API. So previously, like for enabling the API manager, so we are creating the API proxy, right? But with Flex Gateway you don't have to create the API proxy. You can simply publish your API to the Flex Gateway. Okay, so just give me, yeah. Then you can achieve the consistent security and the governance across every API operating in the any environment. So you can make use of API governance, and API governance will ensure that your API is consistent. It has been designed with the best practices, anypoint platform best practices, and like open API specification best practices. It also take care of top 10 OAuth security risk. Okay, then you can easily integrate with the DevOps and your CI/CD pipeline. And Flex Gateway can be set up in the local mode and the connected mode. So there's a two-way. In connected mode, your API will get registered in the Anypoint platform, and you can manage your Flex Gateway from the Anypoint platform. In local mode, your API will not register in the Anypoint platform. You have to manage your API with a local YAML descriptor file. So when to use local mode and when to use connected mode. So most recommended to go with the connected mode. It's a very simple, it's very easy to manage your Flex Gateway. But with local mode, yeah, like you have to manage all this YAML descriptor file basically, and you don't have any, it doesn't provide any kind of graphical user interface where you can check the status of your Flex Gateway. Those kind of things are missing. Okay, so local mode, there might be organization, so or there might be enterprise, so they are not cloud ready, or there might be enterprise, they don't want even the metadata goes out of their network or their environment. In that case you can go with a local mode. So there might be some compliance issue within the organization, right? So in that case you have to go with the local mode. Otherwise I will recommend it to go with the connected mode. So as I mentioned, it's super fast, ultra fast, high performance, and it's a flexible. Why it's flexible? It can adapt any kind of architecture. Any question on this slide?
Note on chat at least.
Okay, good. Let me go to the next slide. So Flex Gateway can be set up in the three different mode. It can be set up as a Kubernetes ingress controller. It can be set up as a Docker container. It can be set up as a Linux service. It does, like when you set up as a Linux service, it doesn't support RHEL operating system. Okay, it doesn't support. So, and it also doesn't support Windows. But I will going to set up a Flex Gateway on Windows. How? Be- because as you see, it support Docker. So you can set up a Docker on your Windows, and you can set up, Flex Gateway in that particular Docker. Same thing when you want to set up a Flex Gateway in RHEL operating system, you have to create a Docker, or you have to install the Docker engine on that RHEL operating system, and then you can set up the Flex Gateway as a Docker container. But it cannot be set up as a Linux service. For Linux service, you can check the MuleSoft document. It supports some Ubuntu and Debian stretch operating system, some kind of this. Authentication mechanism, when it comes to Flex Gateway authentication mechanism, is support three authentication mechanism: any point platform, username and the password, auth token, and connected app. We will going to see auth token and the connected app in the demonstration part, and like what are the how to create the connected app, and how to generate the auth token. Basically, we will going to see. So this is how a typical architecture looks like. Any point like Flex Gateway is can be set up in the connected mode via web UI. As I mentioned, you can make use of any point platform, and you can definitely set up a Flex Gateway in the connected mode basically. Then, like in the local mode, as I mentioned, you have to use a YAML descriptor file. You can see user declarative config files basically. So I generally call that as the YAML descriptor file. And as I mentioned, like you can set up this Flex Gateway. It can like anywhere, like you can set up the Flex Gateway on the top of the APIs. Those are deployed anywhere. It can be on Azure VM, Docker, like GCP Compute Engine, anywhere. Like, so generally, it act as a sidecar for your API. Basically, it will act as a sidecar. So you have a scooter. In a scooter, like you have a sidecar also, right? Similar concept. The API is nothing. It's a scooter, and the Flex Gateway is set up in the front of that. So Flex Gateway is just nothing. It's a sidecar. We can call this as a entry point for your API. So API, like and so you can apply your authentication, like any policies on that particular Flex Gateway. So what is the difference between local mode and the connected mode? So control plane, it will be any point platform in connected mode. The local mode, the local management operation. There's a no control plane. Logging. So basically any point platform advanced logging. So you require some kind of titanium license. But with local mode, you can integrate with Splunk and ELX. API monitoring, you can use out of box API monitoring and API manager metrics. For local mode, you require some kind of third party tool, Grafana, Prometheus, and any other tool. Like these are just the example. Flex Gateway management. Flex Gateway is managed using any point platform, which we have already discussed. Whereas Flex Gateway in the local mode is managed using YAML descriptor files, API policies. Policies can be applied to API published to the Flex Gateway using API Manager. But if you want to apply the policy in local mode, you have to you have to update your YAML descriptor file, and you need to know the syntax, like when you want to apply the policies and all. We're going to see all those things. Any question?
We have one question from Praveen. He's asking what is control plane.
Control plane is nothing. It's your anypoint platform basically, right? So it's a control plane is a anypoint platform. So basically, like now you set up the Flex Gateway and you want to manage your Flex Gateway, right? So we register Flex Gateway in the anypoint platform. So you can manage, you can apply policy, you can secure your API from the anypoint platform, right? So that anypoint platform is the control plane.
How it is different than API manager?
No, see, for Flex Gateway, we'll definitely require the API manager, Sunny, right? So you will going to
Okay.
see for creating the API instance, you will definitely require the API manager, right? Or like so he will be requiring that. For applying the policy, you require the API manager, right? So API manager is nothing. It's manage your API as name suggests, right? It manage
Yes.
the life cycle of your API. Now you should ask me question like what is why API? What is difference between API proxy and the Flex Gateway? Right,
Yes.
that is
Yes.
a valid question. So
Yes.
see, so base whatever gateway you use service mesh, you use MuleSoft gateway, or you use Flex Gateway, right? You require API manager for managing the life cycle of your API, right? I have answered your
Okay.
question, Sunny, right?
Yes.
Now I will come
Yes.
to next question. What is the difference between API proxy and the Flex Gateway? For Flex Gateway, for setting up Flex Gateway, you don't require Mule runtime, correct? You don't require Mule runtime. You can set up
Okay.
a Flex Gateway without Mule runtime, right? So you don't want like Mule runtime, or you don't want to buy a Mule runtime for setting up the Flex Gateway, right? For setting up the proxy, it always got set on the Mule runtime. You require Mule runtime, whether you are creating proxy on the Cloud Hub, whether you are creating proxy on the basically on runtime fabric manager, on or on the hybrid implementation, or on the customer hosted Mule runtime. You will always require the Mule runtime, right?
So
But for
it is
Flex Gateway,
either it is either API proxy or the Flex gateway, right?
see, I will suggest go with the Flex Gateway. Basically, like if
Yes.
you want to manage your non-MuleSoft API, the one of the
Exactly.
advantage I can see, it's a faster than API proxy. Basically, it is using the NOI. NOI is the one of the fastest service. The second advantage, you don't have to manage the Mule runtime also, right? You don't require the Mule runtime, correct? Or
Mhm.
if you are going with Mule runtime, then you have to just have some base kind of license where you need some course and all those things, right? For
Exactly.
setting of your proxy. But if you have only requirement where like you want to manage a non-MuleSoft API, right? So why you have to go with a Mule runtime or like approach? You can simply have a API manager with a Flex Gateway,
Yes. Yep. That's definitely a benefit of not using the vCores and not
correct?
having the runtime. Runtime. Yeah.
So that's why MuleSoft has introduced a Flex Gateway. I think licensing is also based on the consumption base, not on the basis of course. I think it's
Mhm.
written on MuleSoft licensing documentation. You can check that. So like Flex Gateway is on licensing on the consumption base, basically. How many APIs or what kind of traffic is coming on that particular API? It depends on that.
Got it. Thank you.
So let's understand few architecture of Flex Gateway. Either you can use the single gateway for the multiple APIs. So I have multiple APIs running on the different port. Basically, I have a MuleSoft API, I have a Spring Boot API, I have a Node.js API, I have a .NET API. So I can set up a single Flex Gateway in the connected mode with a multiple replicas. So multiple instance of the same Flex Gateway for enabling the high availability, scaling, and high performance. Right. So I've set up the Flex Gateway, and those and this Flex Gateway is in the connected mode, basically, right? The Flex Gateway is in the connected mode, so your API or your replica will also get registered in your anypoint platform, that is the control plane. And then you can publish your API, different API. So different like MuleSoft API, Spring Boot API to that particular Flex Gateway, right? So here you are using the single Flex Gateway for the multiple APIs, basically. As I mentioned, Flex Gateway is the technology agnostic gateway. It doesn't matter what kind of technology or what kind of language you are using for developing or designing your API. You can definitely use the single Flex Gateway to manage all the API written in the different technology. Then it comes to like, there might be possibility when you are following up the microservices architecture, or maybe like, in your organization you may have a different line of business or different layer of APIs. So you may require a multiple Flex Gateway architecture, or either this approach, we can call this as a micro gateways. You may have heard about this particular term in the microservices world, right? So here I have a like MuleSoft API, then I have a Spring Boot API, I have a Node.js API, I have a .NET API, and I can set up a separate Flex Gateway for MuleSoft API, separate Flex Gateway for Spring Boot API, like Node.js API, and the .NET API. In terms of licensing, I think it's a consumption base. You said one or like, four. I think it should not matter. It depending on like, like how much API you are publishing, right? So yeah, so here I have a multiple APIs, and that is like, connecting to uh, di- uh, like APIs written in a different technology. So other thing, like you can also create a separate Flex Gateway depending on your API led connectivity architecture, because you may have a system API. For system API different Flex Gateway, process API different Flex Gateway, for like expense API different Flex Gateway, because like you may have a different authentication mechanism or different rules needs to be applied to the different layer of your API. So you can have a separate Flex Gateway. Then you can have something called a line of business. Like you may have a multiple line of business. Each line of business may require their own Flex Gateway. So you can set up the different Flex Gateway for each line of business. So you can like, it depend, like, it depend on organization requirement. You can decide like, how do you want to set up a Flex Gateway. So as I discussed, Flex Gateway in connected mode. So basically in Flex Gateway, when you set up the Flex Gateway in the connected mode, so you can use all the out of box capability like runtime manager, API manager, anypoint monitoring, and API manager metrics, basically. And you can have a multiple replicas of your Flex Gateway. Then in local mode, so you have like when you're setting up in the local mode, you have to manage your Flex Gateway using the YAML descriptor file, right? And like you have to use the third party logging and the third party monitoring tool when you are setting up Flex Gateway in the local mode. Then it comes to the hybrid approach. So like you may like I have a requirement where like I want my process API, like I have a three tires basically: secure zone, app tire, and web tire. So basically in my secure zone I generally deploy a system API. In app tire I generally deploy my process API. A web tire I generally deploy my experience API. So I've created a multiple gateways, whereas in like API which is in a secure zone, so we have some compliance issue there. Like my there should be no metadata should goes out of this particular secure zone, right? So in that case we have set up the flex gateway in the local mode, and for process and like experience we have set up the flex gateway in the connected mode. So this is something called a hybrid kind of approach. And for like for a flex gateway in local mode we are using third party monitoring tool and YAML descriptor file. But for like flex gateway setup in app tire and web tire we are using all the out of box capabilities. Okay. Now I will talk about some kind of architecture. So basically this is the typical infrastructure or architecture you can follow. So I can create a multiple flex gateway with a multiple replicas. So one and two flex gateway with a multiple replicas, those can be connected with application load balancer. This is just the AWS architecture. And I can do the registry like entry in the route 53. The request from client will come to route 53, and application load balancer will route the request to either flex gateway 1 or flex gateway 2, like depends basically, right? Depending on like it depends like what kind of algorithm we are using on the application load balancer. Then the second architecture, when you want a disaster recovery kind of architecture, so you need to set up the flex gateway in two different region. So once you set up the flex gateway in two different region, you like the SLA are much higher. So like and each flex gateway with a multiple replicas, replica 1, replica 2, replica and replica, they can connect it by application load balancer. And this application load balancer can connect it by AWS global accelerator route 53, and the client can send the request to route 53. And global accelerator is one of the good component provided by AWS. The global accelerator knows which of the flex gateway or which of the like HTTP endpoint can respond faster. So global accelerator will send the request to that particular flex gateway. So it has some kind of artificial intelligence. It decide where I can send the request, and from there I can get the response faster. So maybe low latency kind of thing. So it will take care by the AWS global accelerator. Yeah. Any question before I move into demo? I will come on that. Like during demo, I will discuss this. See, not like see, for registration, we just want to register the Flex gateway, not your API. Your API only needs to be accessible from the Flex gateway. I will going to show you. When I will give a demo, you will understand all these two questions. No, Pratik, it doesn't using the service mesh. Service mesh is altogether a different architecture. But I will show you answer to your first question quickly, basically. Okay, let me start with some demonstration part. So I have a Docker desktop which is set up on my machine, and where I have deployed three APIs: order API, employee API. These are the two MuleSoft API, and one API is the Node.js API. Okay, so let me just browse all these API one by one and let me show you. I got the response from my employee API, and you can see this particular API is not secure, right? I got a response from my order API. Let me check my health API. I got a response from my health API. So you can see like I got the response from all the three API successfully. Now what I have to do, I want to publish this API to the Flex gateway, and I want to secure those APIs with some kind of JWT validation policy or basic authentication. Like we're going to see like how we can do that. So for now you can see this, right? So I'm getting a response from these three APIs. So now first thing I need to set up a Flex gateway. Currently I cannot see there's any Flex gateway running on my machine, right? So what I will do, I will go to my runtime manager. In runtime manager you can see something called Flex gateway new. Okay, let me remove this.
So you have deployed those APIs on the Dockers, right?
Yeah, it can be located anywhere, right? So
Okay.
like it doesn't matter. It can be just I deployed on Docker. It can be in the cloud hub also. It can be anywhere.
Okay.
Only the thing is that you have to make sure like that particular API is reachable from the place where we are setting up a Flex gateway, right? Let's
Okay.
consider if I am setting up the Flex gateway on some virtual machine. right? And your API located in other data center. You have to create the connection between those two. That will not taken care by the Flex gateway. Either you need to set up the VPN from the place where the Flex gateway is the setup. You may have to open the firewall rules if like both data centers have already connection established, right? So those kind of things you need to that has to be taken care by the network team.
Got it.
Okay, so let me quickly move to demo. Uh, where it is? Yeah. Yeah. So here you can see add gateway. You have a three option: Linux, Docker, and the Kubernetes. I will go with the Docker option, and you need to pull this image. I think in my case it's already pulled, but I will show you how to execute this command. Always run as an administrator. Just say pull. Okay, so it's already there. Then you can execute command docker images. This will give all the list of images available on your Docker engine. In my case, you can see MuleSoft Flex Gateway 1.1.0 is already there. Other way, if you are using the Docker desktop, right, you can go to images and you can validate here also. Okay, so what we have done, we have pulled the Docker image. So that is the first step you need to perform. Okay, the second step, copy this. We have to register your Flex Gateway now. We have to register the Flex Gateway. Copy this. It's very easy, like MuleSoft provide all the steps. So I will just open Notepad plus plus. I will just say okay. So if you see, it already generated the token for us. So this particular Flex Gateway will use the authentication mechanism as a auth token. So it already generated token for us. So we don't have to do anything. And also you can see one parameter called connected equals to true, which means you are setting up Flex Gateway in the connected mode. If you remove this particular variable, it means your Flex Gateway is getting setting up in the local mode. So I will give some gateway name. So what I will do, I will say Guwahati Flex demo. Okay, the other thing, I will bring everything into a single line, because in Windows this doesn't work. Basically, if you are using the Linux or like any or like cell, right, so you can execute this command directly. I will bring everything into one line. Here you can see the organization ID. This will organization ID, it's a business group where you want to set up the Flex Gateway. Now you have to change this PWD path. It will work in the Linux and the cell. In Windows, PWD doesn't works. Correct? So I will give a full absolute path. So for that, I will go to users. I have already created one path, I think, a flex local. Let me remove. Let me keep employees file. Let me remove this file. I will require this file later. Okay. I go. Let me check. Just give me a second. I am just checking something. Yeah, this is the right file. Okay. Let me delete. Let me clean this folder. Okay, so I have this particular folder. You can create this folder anywhere. And when you are executing this command in the Linux, pwd means current path. So basically what happens, it create one registration.yaml file, which is very important file, that contain like connection details and the author or certificate, which can be used to authenticate between your Flex Gateway and the anypoint platform. Here I will say I want to generate this particular file, like at this particular location. Even in Linux, if you don't want to use pwd path, you want to give a path, you can do that. That's not an issue. Pwd means like it will create the registration.yaml file where you are executing particular command. Copy this and paste it. Not copied yet. Okay, so just a minute. Yeah, just enter. So it will start registration. Be patient. It take 30 to 20 seconds for completing the registration.
So this is you're registering the Flex
Flex
gateway
Gateway.
with the Docker image.
Yeah, so basically it will, I will show you, don't worry. So now it got registration. You can registration complete, you will get this kind of response. Now you have to check few things. you check this registration YAML file is generated or not. That is very important. It contains some authentication details and all those things, like, so make sure this is there. Then second thing, you have to go to Flex Gateway, and you can see the Guwahati Flex demo. This has been created, but this is in disconnected state. We just created the Flex Gateway. We have registered the Flex Gateway, right? We haven't created the replicas with that particular Flex Gateway. So you can keep as it is. So do no changes, keep as it is. Now we have checked this, right? Now again I will go to Add Gateway. Then now I need to start the Flex Gateway. But if you see, it will create one replica which will be in the stop state. So it just create. You can remove this also, doesn't matter. Now we have registered our Flex Gateway. Now we will start creating the replicas. I will go back to my Notepad++. I will just say enter, Control V. Yeah, you have to change this PWD path. Again, take the path where the registration.yaml file is located. Same path. And what does this mean? Minus P 8081 colon 8081. Can anybody explain what does this mean in the command? Why we give a two port?
Because one is the local host port.
No. So one is the port, the first port, this particular port, right? This is the container port. Okay, so whenever we want to send the request, the application which is running in the Docker container, right? We use this port, and this is the port on which the application deployed within the container. So basically what will happen, I will get the request on 8081 and it will look for the application in the container of port 8081, right? So I will give one example. If you see, I have this particular employee container, right? And this employee container is running on the port 9000, and I have deployed the MuleSoft application in the employee container of port 90001. So when I deployed this particular, when I when I run, or when I created this container, right? So what command I have given, let me show that. So this is very important to understand, like how the traffic is routed in the containers. So here when I deployed, what I've given, so I have to run this particular container on 9000, and my MuleSoft application deployed in the container running on the 9001, right? So but when I will send the request, it will be actual request on the 900. So let me show that also. I just want to clear the concept, otherwise you will get confused when you will try at your end. So what I'm doing, I'm passing the request on this, right? So what will happen here, so I'm sending the request to the container, and container will change, transfer the traffic on 9001. That will how, so we don't have to define anything, we just have to define that rule when we are creating the Docker container. I think it's clear. Close. So what we are doing now, we are trying to create a replica. So I will bring everything into a single line. Let me just minimize it. I will remove all these slashes. Copy. Let's see. So you will see one container is created here. Okay. The next thing, what will happen in any point platform? Can anybody tell me? It will be in connected state with one replica, right? So now your replica is up and running. I will create a second replica. For second replica, what I will do, I will say, so you cannot have a two replica on the same port. So I will say 8082. Just give me a second. Somebody at my door, okay? Just give me a second. Hello? Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm trying to create a second replica on port 8082, but again, my application is running on port 80. You can have a container, you need to have a container on different port, but you can deploy the application on the same port, like so I will tell you, let me show the diagram, let me clear some like, or I have that diagram, I think. Let me show. So what we are trying to do here, so as I mentioned, so here I will be creating a two replica, 8081 and 8082, but application deployed within this replica will be always on 8081. So here, like, and apart from that, like, this particular replica will send the request to the Mule employee on 9001. I will going to do all this setup, don't worry, but give me some time. Just let me explain to you. I want to ensure that, like, you understand this particular command. Like, I'll open other command prompt and let's execute. You should see second replica on port 8082. I can remove this. No, not required. Two replica 8081, 8082. You can see that, right? Now let me check. You can see two replicas here also, right? Why we use two replica? For scaling purpose and the high availability purpose. Okay. What what next? So now I want to, so we have created this much of thing, like, replica 1, replica 2, and our application is on 8081. Now I want to register, or I want to publish the employee API, which is running on, like, I will take this container port which is running on port 9000, but actual employee API is running on 9001. Okay. So what I will do, I will find the IP address first of my laptop. IP config. So what is the IP? Okay, let me check. 192.168.2.104, I think. 1.104. This is my URL. So I'll just copy this particular URL. So this is known as a implementation URL. So now I can go to Flex Gateway, and I will select this Flex Gateway. I will go to API. And once I say add API, it will take me to the API manager. So I think Sunny, you asked me question like why we required,
Yes.
and so here this is the where we required the API manager. Now it will list down all the Flex Gateway located in your business group. Doesn't matter whether it's connected state or disconnected state, but it will only allow you to select the Flex Gateway which is in the connected state. Connected. Next, if you have an existing raml, you can select the existing raml, but in my case I don't have it. I will say create. I will say employee API, and asset type I will select HTTP API. So if I select this particular option, I don't have to provide raml or open API specification. Next.
So you didn't had a RAML for that API here.
Yeah, that's why I select the HTTP API, right? Now I have to give a implementation URI, which is on 9000. Simple.
Mhm.
And now I have port 8081 because I mentioned when we define the rule, right? We mentioned we will publish API on the 8081. Correct? We have the second port. If you remember correctly, what second port? What we mentioned? 8081. So we can deploy the API on 8081. Save. Next. Save and deploy.
There are too many API, I mean, the port numbers we are getting confused with. So one is on the Docker
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, it see, when you going, like, it will be never transparent to the user basically, right? So he will going to set up the load balancers and all those things. We have to do that, like, you are aware, like, we cannot deploy the multiple application on the same port number, multiple container on the same port number, right? It will give a binding address
Yes.
errors basically,
Yeah.
right? So generally, like, this port will be not visible to you. So like we will going to like have a load balancer, right? When we will give access to the user, it will be kind of load balancer. So everything will be the load balancer will have a responsibility to route the traffic to the right port basically. Yeah, right. Yeah, but we have that port. I am like, yeah, that is true. There are a lot of ports basically, but that is how we have to do, right, Sunny?
Okay. Yeah.
And now I have a two URL. If you see, I have a two URL. 8082 is also I have a two replica, right? 8081. So what URL I can use? HTTP local host. My Flex gateway is on 8081/API/employees. Let's see if we get a response from this or not. I will use the Flex gateway URL. Got a response. Let me close the browser so you will see better. Got a response. Let's see 8082 because I have a two replicas, one running on 8081, one running on 8082. I got from 8082 also, right? Next
So
thing.
what does the replica means here?
So it's kind of multiple instance. Like basically, let's consider you are setting up any point clustering. You have a multiple nodes for high availability purpose, right?
Got it,
Right.
got it.
So let's consider if my one replica goes down, I have a separate
Mhm.
replica who will take care of all the requests, right? In correct. So if you
And
see, I have
both are pointing to the same Docker and same APIs.
yeah. So
Same.
basically, now I have a replica one and replica two. I have to do the load balance. I have to use the third party load balancer because you can like you for you like you will send the request to some domain basically, right? Some domain like if the request will come to the load balancer, it's a load balancer responsibility whether it has to go to replica one or replica two, right? So you cannot give a customer that if 8081 is not working, you have to configure 8082, right? We
Yes,
cannot
yes.
provide such kind of approach. It will be load balance. Like as I mentioned, you like customer will never have to worry about all these port numbers.
Yep.
Now the question arises. Now you will like Sunny, you will say like we need more and more ports now. So let me expose one more API. I have a one more API which is running on 9002. That is the orders API. Let me show that. So now I have a second API which is running on 9002 container, right? That is the
So
orders API.
till now we have created the gateway Flax gateway, and now we have mapped it to the one API basically.
Correct. Now I want to map a second API also. Before I map the second API, I want to show something to you. How quickly we can apply the policy. So let me go to security. I will just use a simple policy. Next, admin, admin. Okay, just apply. Just take this URL. I will open a different browser because my response got cached on this particular browser. It will see how quickly the policy has been applied, right?
Okay.
Now I got a 8082 response. So you can apply the policy. Like we will going to see more things. Let me publish this particular API now, the orders API. I want to show some behavior to you. Add, add new API, Flex Gateway. This particular Flex Gateway. Create new, and I can give some name like orders API, HTTP API. What it's already exist. Next, just give the implementation URI. This time it's 9002 port 8081. Next, save and deploy. Let me apply the policies to this. What will happen now? Can anybody tell me? Okay, so let me check. Instead of I will give orders. Right, there's a no listener for order. Let me say 8081. There's a no listener for orders. Let me say employees. We got a response from employees. So let me show the like here it tried to add. What happened? Like, can anybody tell me?
Through the same gateway, we are trying to.
Don't you think like we are publishing the employees APIs and orders API on the same port number? Huh? Right?
Yes, yes.
So it will not allow to like apply like it is giving like no listener for API orders basically. It will not allow you to create two API instances or to on the same port number. So we have to give a range of port. So now the problem is that like when I have created the replica, right, we have just given the one port. Now what to do? We have to define a range of port. So for that I will just change my command. So I will say 8081 hyphen 8089, then also output port 8081 hyphen 8089. I'll give this range, copy this command. I will remove existing replicas. I will close all this, not required. Then I will execute this command. Here I am giving the range of port. Enter. So that has been created. Now let me go back to my AnyPoint platform, and now I can deploy my orders API on 8082. Save it. Now my employees API is running on 8081 and my orders API is running on 8082. But here and my gateway URL is on 8081, and see now I'm getting the response for employees. Let's check orders. For orders 8082 admin. So you can see my orders is running on 8082, and like my employees is running on 8081, right? Now let me expose the third API, which is on 9003 health. This is my third API. I can go to AnyPoint platform. I can go to API administration. I can go to add new API. I select this particular API. Next, create new API. Then health API. Okay. I will give a implementation URI.
Jackie,
Add
why are we not giving the base path here?
No, there is a no need of base path, right? Because we pass base path from like here only, right? What is the need of base path? Like we just give a
Hmm.
implementation URI, and this path we are doing passing from the gateway, right? Gateway URL. So it will automatically append this particular path in the front of this.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
You can definitely, if you give a API here in case, right? So you don't have to pass the API from here. Then you just say localhost 8082 orders.
Hmm.
Then it will take like it will append this API here and orders from here. So like that. It depends like how you want to define.
Okay.
Next, no, just let's give it. Next, I'll apply, save and deploy policy, add apply security, simple. Next. Okay. So let me check with 8083 health admin. It is faster than proxy, right? So when you deploy proxy, it generally take a lot of time, right? And whenever you want to update any policy, it take time. On Flex Gateway, it happen quickly. It happens in seconds,
because it's
right?
not
So
deploying to runtime.
it get downloaded here also. We don't
Yeah,
have a runtime behind the Flex Gateway, right?
exactly, exactly. So it's not getting deployed there actually. I mean,
Actually, it get downloaded. If you see in the logs, it is getting downloaded, but it happens quickly.
uh,
See here, you can see HTTP basic authoring. It get downloaded, right? Adding policies. You can see in the logs of the container. Now, other thing, let me validate. So we have set up the Flex Gateway and how to expose the multiple API. Now we can go to one API one by one. You can go to employee API. If you want to check the metrics, you can get the metrics here, right? Total number of requests, total policy violation, total errors, and average response time. So you can see everything here basically. Then there's other way. You can go to AnyPoint monitoring. Okay, employee API, and I will select the instance, just view. So you can see that, like, if it provide good graphs also. So you can see number of requests, like failed requests, total 400 error, total 500 error, like those kind of things you can see it here, right? So yeah, it provides some kind of logs and everything basically, right? Any question before I move into the local mode? So local mode will not take that much of the time, it will be a bit faster. Any question if I can take? Abhishek, any question? Praveen, we have already done, right? So the health API is nothing, it's a non-MuleSoft API, the health API, right? So see, it doesn't matter. Like you just need a implementation URI. It doesn't matter how is your API written and where is your API located, right? Correct? No, like I don't think there's any issue will be happening with the postman or or REST client. I don't think so. It should work from both. See, for non-MuleSoft API, you cannot use the auto discovery concept. It is only used for MuleSoft APIs. So let's consider if you are using the auto discovery concept for non-MuleSoft API, where you will go and configure the API ID. Where so for non-MuleSoft API, we have to configure the API ID. So for that, MuleSoft provide the component called API ID configuration. Like under the configuration, you can go and like configure the API ID, and you can just define what is the main flow. That concept is not available for non-MuleSoft API. Any question before I move into other part? No? No. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me go to my runtime manager. Right. Let's keep it here only. Okay. Let's keep as it is. Now we will create a Flex gateway in the local mode. Right. So for that, I will just open the MuleSoft documentation. Flex gateway Docker MuleSoft. Not this one. I will directly start with register. So like its first step is the same, where you have to download or pull the image of the Flex gateway. I will avoid that. We have already pull it. Here I will use the connected app, and this is the documentation, right? So let's start step by step. Let me close all the document, all the prompt, so you don't get confused. All the command prompt. Okay. Okay. So let it be here. Okay. Let me close all the browser. Okay. Let it be here. Okay, the first step, we need to create a connected app. So for creating the connected app, I will go to access management. So this, for this demo, we will use the authentication mechanism as a connected app. So I will go to connected apps. I will delete this one. I will show you from scratch. So you can just click on this create app, and I will say Guwahati Flex. Then I can select option. I can select this. I want to use the client credential. Then I have to give some permission. So make sure what permission you need to give. Just say read server, manage server. Then you have to give a view organization and view on environment. Say next. Select the environment, self, sandbox. Okay. So this is my business group and environment review, add scope, save. So it will give a client ID and the client secret. That is what you have to do. That's it. Now in the next step, we have to register the Flex Gateway. The first step is to install the Flex Gateway, which means like you have to install the image. So in my case, image is already there. So I don't have to download it again and again, right? It's already there. In, so what I will do, I will copy this command, just paste it over here, right? And here you can see like you have to give a gateway name. So I will say Guwahati Flex Local. And here you can see the parameter connected true. Why connected true? This is something wrong. I can remove this connected true. Or let me copy the command from local mode if I don't do the mistakes. I think it's a right, but let me just validate it. It's the same thing only, but I will copy here. Just remove the connected equals to true. Guwahati Flex DW. Bring everything into a single line. You have to provide the organization ID. First, let's fill the parameter. For providing the organization ID, you can go to organization, and for environment, you can go to environment. But there's a place where you can find all the information from the single page. So you don't have to navigate to the multiple page. So you can go to API manager, click on this information, you get an environment ID, copy this. This is my environment ID. Then you have to provide organization ID. I'll copy this. This is my organization ID. Then you have to provide client ID and the client secret. Go back to a connected app, access management. I can go to connected app, copy. This is the client ID, and I have to copy a client secret. Just bring everything into a single line, space, space. Now I have to provide a PWD path. I will just remove this registration. I want a new registration YAML. I will copy and just replace this path. Now just open the command prompt, execute this command. Okay. So in case like even you are not trying to pull the image, right, it will automatically pull for you. Okay, so something has wrong. Let me check. I gave the right.
Run as admin, Jackie.
Yeah.
CMD run as admin.
No, it's not about admin. I think I'm missing something here.
I think you deleted client ID or client secret, one more character.
No, I created new one, right? But I think let me check. Run as administrator. That is also one way. Let me check the folder. It's created. Like I don't know why it's thrown error. Let me remove this. Let me. What is the problem? Let me open the file. Yeah, the file is empty. I know. So I think you might be right. Be run as administrator. I think I put client ID or client secret something wrong. I think let me check. Let me put everything again. It will work. Don't worry. Client ID, client secret, register, entry point, C, user, local. This is all good. Let me copy client ID and client secret once again. Let me check the access. Self, view organization. Okay, view environment, read server, manage server. This is good. copy id hyphen client id client secret. Okay, let me check the environment and organization. I think some issue with that also. So this is the environment id.
7 is missing.
Yeah, I removed this 7.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Now it should be okay. Let me clean this folder once again. Hopefully this time it should be okay. Yeah, it's completed now. Okay, so you can have a, this data has been came, so we are good. Let me go to any point platform and let's check whether the application has been registered or not. It should not. It should not see the application here. So what name we have given? So Guwahati Flex GW. So we should not have something like this. So this is something else. Guwahati Flex GW. We don't have it here, right? So your Flex gateway is not registered, but you can see in the container there should be something created. Yeah, you can see it here. Okay, so that's fine. Now next thing, we have to run the replicas. So go back to documentation. The next thing, we have to start the start command. Just copy this. Mm, let me say enter. I will give path 8081. MuleSoft Flex Gateway. Let me check again. Let's run. I'm again creating the replicas. Now let me check with the Docker. Yeah, you can see it has been created. Let me remove all this unwanted thing. So your replica has been created. Okay, on port 8081. The next what we have to do, we have to publish our APIs to this particular Flex gateway. Keep this open. You want to publish this. For that, we have to write a YAML descriptor files, right? So I have already created one YAML descriptor file, and I will just walk you through that file. So this is the file we need to create. So here like this how everything remains same. Basically you can change that name, like API version gateway, like kind API instance. Then you have to provide the address. So right now my I provide 0.0./8081 because my Flex gateway is running on 8081. Now where is your employee running? So you have to provide it. So either like it also support the wildcard route. In my case there is only one endpoint in each and every API, so I gave the full path. Okay, I need to change the IP address. So right now the IP address is 192.168.168.11.04. Here what is the advantage? You can see I will able to access all the APIs from the single port 8081, right? I don't want a multiple port. So this is the, like you can apply this file on the, you can create such file for the API which is in the connected mode also, and you can apply that, right, for running the API on the single port. Here I'm running the API on my single port, and let me copy all this. and I applied these policies basically. So now you have to write everything: policies, policy rep, name. You need to know what are the parameters can be configured. You can go to MuleSoft documentation; they have listed down few policies, not all, and you can just create this basically. You can apply the policies. So you have to do everything, man. Even you want to apply login, you need to add the any, if you want to integrate with any third party login, need to add everything into this particular file. You can create a multiple YAML file also. So let's consider I want to run two API on 8081, two API on 8083. You create a separate YAML file, right? So I've created, so I have a three API: health API, orders API, employees API. I've created that. So this is route, rule, and a path. It also supports the wildcard rules. So let's consider if I have a more endpoints after this, so I can say dot slash star, something like that, so it means anything after employees it will consider. Save it. Now let me copy this employees.yaml, and you have to paste this file at the place where your registration.yaml is created, and just notice here, like it will create, say it will start publishing all the endpoints: 9000, 9002, everything. Have I copied right file? Yeah. Now I want to access this API on port 8081. I can use http localhost 8081 slash API. It will ask me for username and password. Right, I got an employees response. I got a orders response. Okay, API slash orders should work. Check. One 92 dot slash API slash order. Okay, I give the port wrong. 902 903. Save it. It will reapply it. I got a health response, and I should get orders. I got a orders response also. Okay, is Flex Gateway down? It's up. Let me. No, it's 8081. Sorry again. I got a orders response also. So right. So this. So the only the pain with this particular approach, like we have to always update this, keep on updating this file, right? If you want to publish new API, if you want to apply any policies, we need to keep on updating this file basically. This employees.yaml file. Right, so that is one of the disadvantage or limitation with this local mode. That's why I keep on saying you need to go with a connected mode approach. Yeah. Any question? I think I've done with the demonstration part.
What is the basic difference between this local and connected? I mean, other than just how we are configuring that.
So you have seen like there's a lot of differences, right? So when you are using in the connected mode, you can make use of all the out of box capabilities, right? Like endpoint monitoring, you can make use of like API analytics, you can apply directly policies from there basically, right?
Yeah.
Correct. You can manage your complete Flex Gateway from the your anypoint platform. But in case of local mode, you are managing your API from this local YAML descriptor file. And let's consider like if you want to change this file again and again for adding new API, you need to definitely allow some kind of code, like some kind of process, like like you have to do the code check-in, like you need to define your branching strategy. You cannot directly go update on production, right? You need to have some CI/CD pipeline that will go and publish a new API to that particular file. So with this right, you got my point, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the doing the same thing in a two different way. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't
two
see that
see,
way.
with local mode your data will, even metadata will not go outside your environment, right? In case of connected mode, data never goes outside your environment.
Not
Only
even on the
metadata
control
like
plane.
metrics, like those kind of thing.
Not even on the control plane in that mean.
Not even control plane. Your metadata data will never go out.
Okay, it is still on the Docker.
Yeah,
Uh,
it will within your network basically. So whenever
yeah.
some request come, the request will not route through any point platform. It will be in your environment only. So generally what happens, whenever request comes, so you got one request, right? Whether it's fail or success, those, if it's fail or success, those data will go to the endpoint platform. So it can generate the monitoring analytics, those kind of thing, right? Even if we are not sending the metadata, then how this endpoint platform control plane will generate the metrics and monitoring
So
data.
there will be no metrics for these monitoring logs for this API.
For local mode, you have to have a third party tools.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, so
Also,
guys, like I think
mhm.
most of the people know recently MuleSoft introduced some feature called API governance, basically, right? So basically, what is that API governance and why we require the API governance? So let's consider I have an organization with a multiple line of business, and each line of business will do development according to their standards, maybe their uh, their recommendation, their guidelines, basically. So that's why this API governance comes into picture, where it already provide a set of default rules which can be applied on your API spec. Doesn't matter how it's written. Like it can be written in RAML, it can be written in Open API specification, it can be written in async API. So MuleSoft provide some set of rule. So like any point. Platform best practices rule or open API best practices rule, top 10 OAuth security rule, they like async API best practices, those kind of rule. So that get executed automatically once you publish your API into any point exchange, and it will tell what are the problems with your APIs, what are the things you are missing in your API design. Also, you can import those in your design center, right? And like you can import those in your design center basically, and you can validate there itself during the design time. Even you don't have to wait for publish the API to any point exchange. Once you publish your API into any point exchange, it will give a three status to your API: either conformant, it means your API has been successfully passed all your API rules or API governance rules. Non-conformant, there is some API with your issue with your API design, or you haven't developed your API with the best practices. And the third thing, like it is not validated, which means you haven't applied a API governance on the top of your API. So that is what the API governance does for us basically. Yeah, Abhishek,
Yeah,
that's what I.
thank you. Yeah, thank
So
you
So
that
so
this is
much.
more
so
this is more on a design only, not
yeah,
an
it's on the more
implementation.
design part, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically, let's consider like what resource path you have defined. It will check for the resource path, like whether you have implemented the security schemes properly or not, right? So those kind of things it will tell, whether you are using the camel casing or snake casing, those kind of things it will take care. So you can just go to API governance and create a profile. Okay, and just once you create the profile, it will start validating all your existing API or all the new APIs, and it will give the status to all your APIs, either non-conformant, or not validated.
Sure. Okay. So this is some guidelines about endpoint governance. We already had one session where Gazanan has took that, and you can find that again in the meetup page. Also, I have shared some link for that one.